Horowitz defends Adam Neumann. According to the New York Times, Ben Horowitz, the billionaire venture capitalist who has invested in Adam Neumann's new real estate startup, is painting a very sympathetic picture of the disgraced WeWork founder. In interviews, Horowitz describes Neumann as someone who merely endured bad things happening around him, rather than as the architect of one of the most notorious corporate implosions in modern history. Adam didn't take money from WeWork, Horowitz insisted. He was treated unfairly. But the record tells a different story. Neumann repeatedly misled investors, hyped impossible growth, and cashed out even as WeWork collapsed. While SoftBank and other backers lost tens of billions of dollars, Neumann walked away with an exit package worth more than $1 billion. Critics say Horowitz's framing turns a calculated manipulator into a victim. The facts show Neumann was not an unlucky bystander. He was the driver of the WeWork disaster. Okay, what's the real message here? When the venture capital community turns around and gives a known con man like Adam Neumann hundreds of millions of dollars for his next investment, even though his last big venture lost billions of dollars for everyone other than himself, it sends a clear message. And it's not that women, minorities, you don't count, will never fund you. But it does send the message that, hey, if you're a white guy and you're kind of like us and you're bold and you have swagger, we're going to cut you a freebie. We're going to cut you some slack. We're going to have our own affirmative action program, but not for these DEI types, but for people like us. You get a pass, and anything bad happens, we'll blame it on someone else. Let's dig a little deeper here. This is infuriating. I mean, if you've seen any of the great documentaries or movies about Adam Neumann and WeWork, it really is an atrocity. A guy basically had a very simple concept. Okay, some people need office space. They don't want to rent the whole office. They may need space just for themselves. And it would be more efficient to have a place to go work rather than working from home. Nothing wrong with that. There have been plenty of companies like that all around for a long. I've used them myself when conducting media trainings and public speaking trainings in other cities all over the world. Shared executive space, workspace. It's a pretty simple, plain vanilla concept where the market valuations for any company that went public was pretty ho-hum. Adam Neumann came around and spun this nonsense. Oh, we're creating a new way of living. We're creating a new existence. We're going to have transformational places where people are going to get to nirvana and work and make money. And it was just all complete nonsense. And he continually misled. Now, let's be clear. He never was officially indicted, arrested, convicted of absolute fraud charges. So he apparently was able to escape that line. He didn't end up in Elizabeth Holmes territory. How he dodged that, I still don't really know. But here's the complicated part. It is true that a lot of people toss around the label of, oh, I'm a victim of racism. I'm a victim of sexism. I'm a victim of classism. And they don't really know. Sometimes you just don't get what you want. Sometimes you're fired because everybody thought you were incompetent. It had nothing to do with your race or gender. So I will readily admit that we do live in times where sometimes people are a little too quick to just proclaim something discriminatory, bias, racism, sexism. However, this case to me is a perfect example of the real discrimination in our society. And it's not that there are so many evil, rich white people twirling their mustache saying, wow, we hate black people and minorities and women and trans, and we're going to do anything we can to ruin their chances of that. That's not it. That's the cartoon version. But what is real is if you're a white guy who's already rich, as Adam Neumann is, because he got $1 billion out of that failed WeWork's disaster, other rich white guys give you a pass. You're a part of the club, and you can essentially do no wrong. You get a second chance, and a third chance, and a fourth chance, and a fifth chance. Whereas if you are a minority, let's say you are any minority in America, and you somehow, mortgage your home to get a loan to start a restaurant. That's your dream business. And the business goes belly up. And now you've lost your house and your restaurant, but you got another idea for an even better restaurant. What's going to happen to you as a minority? You can go to banks, you can go to venture capitalists, you can go to angel investors, and here's what they're going to say to you when you ask for money for your new venture. They're going to laugh you right out of the room. Adam Neumann doesn't get laughed out of the room. He's seen as a sensitive type. Oh, we have to be sensitive to Adam Neumann. He's like us. We've all had failures. Okay, so he lost billions and billions and billions of dollars. Look at how big the scale was. It's not like he lost $500,000 on a restaurant. That's peanuts. He must be a big time guy if he's already lost billions and billions of dollars. Therefore, we're going to learn from his mistakes. He's going to learn, and it's going to benefit all of us. That's kind of the mentality. And to me, that's a far more insidious form of discrimination and bias in our society. So let's go over the facts again. I'm just struck by how Ben Horowitz and his whole organization, Mark Andreessen especially, that they become the poster boys for attacking woke, for attacking DEI, and yet they're doing the same thing. They're essentially saying if you're a white guy who's already raised billions of dollars, you need to be handled with kid gloves. You need a special sensitivity. Oh, bad things happened around Adam Neumann. Wasn't it unfortunate the way other things happened to WeWork? He was running the whole show. He's the only guy who made a fortune out of that. He conned people out of billions of dollars, and they're acting like he's a victim. Now, conservatives have rightly complained about this cult of victimization in America for years, for decades, and claiming that progressives, Democrats, liberals, feminists are guilty of taking away the individuality of a person, of saying, don't judge them by their actions. They're just victims in society. Oh, he robbed a 7-Eleven store. He's a victim. You shouldn't punish him. That's been the conservative critique, and yet they are doing far worse right here. They're saying, we can't hold Adam Neumann accountable. He was just a victim of other people taking advantage of poor billionaire Adam Neumann. They were taking advantage of him so awfully. They ended up losing billions of dollars, and he ended up $1 billion ahead. Let's look more at the facts of this Adam Neumann. And I would urge you, watch the feature movie about him, watch the documentary. It is a fascinating story of the excesses of capitalism, and frankly, something that leads to what I do. It does show how if you speak with confidence, if you're a commanding figure, people will give you money and buy into your story. So some more of the facts here. Neumann personally sold $700 million in his stock at WeWork before it went public. So he cashed out and eliminated his own risk. But some of the things he did, he would fund private jets, lavish lifestyles, all sorts of drugs, partying on investors' money. And now an investor says, oh, I want to give you more money with that track record. I'm telling you, if you are a black entrepreneur, a woman, a minority, and it came out that you wasted millions, billions of dollars partying, drugs, and flights, no investor would say, hey, we value your expertise and experience. Let's give you more hundreds of millions of dollars. It wouldn't happen. He charged, this is one of the worst scams, he charged WeWork $6 million for trademarking the name We. Typically, you're a founder, you're asking people to give you money. The intellectual property goes into the business. You're not constantly doing all of these side deals and benefiting from a conflict of interest against your own company. But he did that repeatedly again and again and again. He claimed that WeWork would elevate world consciousness. Really? And people bought it. WeWork's valuation was $47 billion at one point. It collapsed. It lost $37 billion of that in valuation. The IPO filings exposed massive losses, governance issues, but he walked away with nearly $2 billion. Okay, let's step back a minute here and do what I told you at the beginning of the show I do here, which is try to learn from the stories and say, how does this have an impact on you and me? To me, Adam Neumann is a perfect example of the power of public speaking, the power of confidence, the power of storytelling, for ill and for good. He was able to raise billions and billions and billions of dollars based on his ability to tell a story in an engaging way with confidence. Am I saying that's a good thing all the time? Obviously not. I wasn't an investor in WeWork, but it's obviously not a good thing for capitalism. It's not a good thing for investors to be sucked into that. But I do want you to realize the power of being a persuasive speaker and painting a vision about a better world. Now, I happen to think his whole concept of WeWork is going to elevate world consciousness to be complete, utter BS. And I was not swept in by it. But then again, he didn't meet with me and give me a pitch. So who really knows? I do want you to think about this. If you have a business and you're actually doing good work for people, and you're actually helping them, and you're making yourself money and making other people money, then maybe the missing ingredient is you need to speak with more confidence. You need to retool your story to make it even more powerful and resonate. But don't lie. Don't just make up stuff. I don't want you to be Elizabeth Holmes, and I don't want you to be Adam Neumann. I do want you to craft the most compelling story you can about your existing business if you have one. If it's a startup, I need you to let people see the possibility, but be honest with them. Give them an honest assessment of the risk. And don't take an old idea like we're going to do shared office space and paint it as something completely new. That's in my view, complete fraud, but you can paint a positive picture of what you're doing. And I believe you can do it honestly and ethically. And yeah, you may have to spend some time thinking about the showmanship. Adam Neumann famously had his own music come on as he entered his workplace. Now that may be a little bit rich. That may be too much. But he did spend a lot of time thinking about how to communicate, how to project confidence, how to be essentially a messiah for his own employees and his own. Now, he betrayed them. Believe me, he did not die for their sins. They died for his. But he gave a lot of thought to how he communicated and constantly filling his own employees, his vendors, his suppliers, his stakeholders, certainly investors with confidence. And he's doing it again. To me, that's a real flaw in capitalism. Capitalists are supposed to be hard-nosed, bottom-line oriented. And the thing about this firm, Andreessen Horowitz, they're almost thumbing a nose. They're almost saying, founders are great. We deserve to live in a world where there's no democracy. The world is just run by billionaire founders of companies. They are the great men, believe me, it's men in their view. We need to have a society run by great men. And if they fail, they just deserve another bite at the apple and another bite and another bite. And if there's nothing left for you or me, tough luck.